Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. It means it's time for the At Home Show, the program that has been coming to you for parts of 2 millennia, 2 centuries. And how many decades, David Bates? 4 decades.
We've actually have been in 4 different decades.
Yes,
That's true.
Yes, we have. But we're here for you. It's a Saturday morning tradition. All the at-homies have gathered here in the green room, and we're ready to go because it's going to be an action-packed, fun-filled program this morning right here from 3810 Whites Creek Pike, 0.9 miles north of Bradley Parkway at exit 19 here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Whew.
Morning, Josh.
Hi, David.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy.
I'm glad to be here.
Finer than a frog hair split down the middle.
Well, that's pretty fine.
Better than most on my worst day.
Hey, we're going to, I don't know if you noticed, maybe you haven't even looked out the window this morning.
What?
But we got rain overnight. Matter of fact, we got substantial rainfall overnight.
Yes, we did.
Most areas around the middle Tennessee got somewhere between 1.25 inches and 2 inches of rain overnight. You can see that. I'm going to zoom this little box out here a little bit. Perhaps we can get a better look at that. It's not cooperating with me.
Why not?
But you can see south of town, there's still some good rains moving through.
Yes, they
are. And even further out, I see some scattered showers around Ashland City area out in the Robinson County, up a little further north. So looks like we have a good chance for more precipitation. Look at that temperature right now. It's only 74 degrees, 92 for the high today, which I saw heat indices yesterday, 126. 126. It was.
That was in the shade.
It just didn't matter.
It was hot.
It was miserable. It was. It was just an awful, extremely miserable day in every way. And for those of you, including the entirety of my staff here, and we're got a bunch of troopers here where I tried to just not even be physically present because I didn't want anyone to feel like that they needed to be doing more than what they were doing. So
didn't want to go in there and pull the boss thing, like looking around.
I didn't even make eye contact,
making a move.
I didn't even make eye contact with people who were going into the office because it's so hot. Or we're at beyond capacity of what our electrical system and cooling. I mean, with all air conditioners running, it's really very challenging. So we're looking forward to having a break in that today. Of course, it's Saturday.
Yep.
There's still some thunderstorms around the area, which is really nice. And we'll take whatever extra rain we can get. 92 degrees for the high today. So one thing I've noticed that there is no severe heat warning today, which is really great. Tomorrow on Sunday, 91, partly cloudy and still cooler conditions. It does begin to warm back up a bit Monday and Tuesday. 94, 96 on Tuesday, then 88 on Wednesday, 89 Thursday, and then we see the warm up again by later in the week, creeping back up into the mid-90s by this time next week. Hey, but it is the middle of July, or it's approaching the middle of July anyway, and that is to be expected. I will show you this. I've got another little southeast, well, it's actually just the eastern United States map, but you see the amount of precipitation that has moved through and is continuing to move through. So areas south and east of town in particular, all towards McMinnville, Chattanooga, everything, all these areas need rain. And you still, at the very last frames there, you see that there are some storms that will likely still build back to the west.
Up there,
so we got a little bit still coming in back there. Let's see if I can zoom that in. That's out.
That's out, David.
That's out.
Go the other way. Go the other way.
The other out.
The other out.
Ah!
Oh, there it is.
Now we're closer. So now you see that.
That means that Chattanooga is shut down. By the way, safety report, I-24 west at exit 59, there was a little kerfuffle and the interstate was closed. So I had to come cross country here this morning.
So anyway, a reminder.
Be careful out there. Ponding water.
72 degrees as you head out this morning. I do recommend you getting out, just sitting on the front porch and go, wow, this feels nice. There's moisture and it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, this is a special day for me, Josh.
Why is that, David?
Because 37 years ago today, Renee and I were married.
But she's only 27.
It's hard to do the math on, but
Yes.
So, yes, happy anniversary, Renee. And hard to believe it's been this many years. You know, it's hard to believe when I look at her because she doesn't look it, but when I look at me,
She's
I do look at you. So, so that's the way it goes.
All right. By the way, David Bates, there are other cast members in the studio.
There are indeed, and we want to welcome everyone in.
Congratulations, David and Renee.
Tyler Cam.
Tyler Cam, we're really glad to see that back right here in action in the studio. And, of course, across the way, Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen, a braceless Austin Lowen, I should say. He yesterday got the, was it yesterday or day before, Austin? Day before.
Yep.
Got that leg brace off. He's walking with a bended knee, although a noticeably thinner leg. So he's working. He's
A little bit smaller.
He's got a regular leg and then a chicken leg.
I do.
So I'm sure it'll be back over the coming weeks. So we'll maybe we should Tyler get a chicken leg cam to track the development of Austin's leg. But
Drone footage,
he's a real legitimate athlete. You know, he was I know he'll come back quickly. Astronemus is below, then the quads above.
Yes.
So yes,
I'm working them. I can just being out here working for 8 hours a day. You know, just being on the lot. Our lot will wear on you.
I predict your muscle tone will rebound quickly. And we need to say good morning to Caroline. Good morning. How are you today, Caroline?
Doing great. Good morning.
It's amongst the color.
Yeah, you're tough dog.
I am. I'm all the way back in these flowers this morning.
The theme we have going on today is Monrovia. We've got a lot of Monrovia plants all over the studio today on both ends of it, and we'll be talking about that. Squared away.
Get to it.
Okay.
What are the best slender evergreens to plant along a fence?
All right, slender
There we go.
evergreens.
Got us in their sun there, right?
We hope so.
They didn't tell us that. But
They did
Yeah.
not mention sun.
Well, along a fence, we're kind of thinking it's out in the sun. Hopefully, we're going to go with sun plants anyway. Let's just go there. So there's a number. Our best-selling plant at the nursery, which is amazing to me, but still is. It's called Emerald Green Arborvitae, and it's like I said, it's our number one seller here. It's a very, it's a 15-foot grower tall, and maybe 20 as the years go on. It only gets about 3 to 4 feet wide eventually. So it's the most common plant to put at the corners of your home or down a long stretch if you want something thin. One of my favorites, other than that one, is going to be Taylor juniper, which is pencil thin. Now it'll get up to about 30 feet tall, but it literally stays like 3 feet wide. It takes a shear really well. And it's a juniper, so it's extremely drought resistant. Once it gets latched in, you probably never have to water it again as it ages. It's just going to live.
And a Taylor juniper is the closest thing we have to an Italian cypress in Middle Tennessee. Italian cypress, which are, of course, wonderful in more Mediterranean climates, a little further south, but here they won't quite make it through the winter, at least not reliably. So Taylor juniper is great. The only knock on Taylor juniper is that I think after some time of them being in the ground, they tend to lose some limbs at the base.
That is true. That's probably our customer's biggest downside.
So you need to be prepared if you're using those. I don't use that as a deal breaker for use of them, but you need to be thinking about what you're going to underplant them with as they come along to cover those bare stems on the bottom. If you're concerned about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you can ever do a whole line of evergreens like that and then leave space out in front of them for, say, flowering shrubs, it really creates a nice scene. Especially, if you're using big, say, incredible hydrangeas, for instance, in a whole mass out in front of Taylor juniper, God, when they're blooming in the summer, big white round blooms in front of that evergreen foliage, it really creates something nice. So mixing in deciduous flowering stuff with the evergreens is also the way to go for
and
sure.
I always recommend to folks that if you're planting a continuous hedge of a single thing and you've got them all matched, if you're planting emerald arborvitae or Taylor juniper,
Yes.
plant a group of 3 to 5 of them somewhere else
Yes.
in the yard, because
You're going to lose one.
Something's going to happen, and it's going to happen 4 or 5 years down the line. And you won't be able to find one to match the ones you already have in the hedge, and it won't die on the end.
No.
The end ones never die. It's always in the middle.
The third
Always.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you can dig one off the end and transplant it to the middle. If you
That
know.
throws off the balance.
It does.
And you can replace it with one, just go out and try to buy one, but they never seem to quite match. So I always think if you have a large area, to set some area aside to plant a few extras so that you give yourself something to work with, your own little holding area in case you need it on down the line. And if you don't need it, then you've got a nice little planting area.
Now, Austin, I think your staging and your stacking of it point is real critical, because folks they think that that's going to be all that they're going to need, but you go ahead and make that plan on the front side for something in front, or build your beds or anything out there. Make sure that they do that.
And as Austin mentioned, it is our number one
Yeah.
selling plant item here. So frequently, when people buy these things, it's nothing unusual about people buying 30 of them at a time.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't just buy one. That's, I think, why it's probably the best seller. Like you said, you buy 10, you buy 20 at a time. And then to add to your point, Josh, another way to do it is to say buy something like, say, crepe myrtle, which is in full bloom right now, and you can buy, say you have a long fence row, you can plant 3 of those spaced accordingly down the line, to let them get up and big and flower, and then in between those we get the evergreen effect, and then out in front of those we get those the blooms out in front. So you can create a whole thing down a fence line instead of just one line of green.
I personally love blue rug juniper in that you pull it out to the front and then have the green in the front and the green in the back, and then have color in the middle.
See, I'm more of a fan of mixing it up a bit, not having conifers on conifers. I like having either some deciduous or some broadleaf, something to mix up those textures of foliage a little bit. And if I was going to use, personally for me, I would want something that was really striking, maybe a gold mop cypress or one of the other gold types of junipers that really create a strong contrast.
Cool.
So there's that way to go. So there's never any shortage of options. And
don't forget about the winter color too. So red, like that red dogwood mixed in there would look good if you got the sun.
Red twigs, yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice. There's all sorts of options. We can help you figure that out for sure.
Okay, I think we've covered that one.
I think you did. You nailed it. All right, our second question of the morning. My proven winner's fairy tale bride hydrangea seems to be burning in full sun.
Oh, fairy tale bride. Gosh, there's so many hydrangeas nowadays, y'all. I can't even barely remember if that's a panicle. I think that's a panicle. Which panicle style hydrangeas do take the sun just fine. But this year's been a little funny. We got hot very, very quickly this year. So unseasonably hot and dry very, very early. So, plants can take the heat. They will suffer a little sunburn sometimes if they're getting a little bit too much. And it's something they can acclimate to, though. Just because it's, if it's a first season plant, the sun is going to affect it a little bit. The key is the water. We got to make sure they're moist. They'll handle that heat a lot better as long as they stay moist down below. But you can see signs of stress on a planting on the first year. Now stick with it. Just because you have a few or some leaves or some of the blooms maybe that you're seeing is fading off quicker than usual, don't get down too quick. Plants can respond and get better as the years go on. So stick in there, prune off anything that just looks horrible. There's no sense in keeping it. But make sure you keep it moist.
And there's nothing worse than a depressed gardener.
Really?
Don't get down. Don't get down.
Yeah.
Keep that. Hey, do you, just before we go on, do you consider, Austin, this to be a true drought-breaking rain that we got overnight?
I think so. At my house anyway, yeah. I'm up in the Chapmansboro area, which is in between Pleasant View and Clarksville, about somewhat halfway in between. And last week, I've got a couple different rains that really helped out. And then last night, we really got a lot. I could just tell driving by the garden this morning as I was going by, everything was really saturated down. All the lower leaves are all dirty. So I know that a good amount of rain came in. And yeah, I think if you're ever going to say we had a drought, we certainly had a drought this year. And with the heat involved with that, I took a delivery yesterday out to East Nashville, and I usually love driving around East Nashville because they have beautiful plants out there, old homes with old plantings, a lot of old trees. And what I noticed is instead of it being as lush and as pretty as it usually is, plants are stressed.
Really?
They were really stressed. I mean, mature trees, I saw redbuds that were literally fried on top. How weird is that, Redbuds are really tough and strong, but I saw a lot of burn on them. And just a number of plants that were just suffering a little bit, and I get it. I mean, we've all been suffering a little bit too. Plants don't like these triple-digit numbers any more than we do.
I've seen a lot of leaf drop. I mean, lots and lots of leaf drop.
A lot of leaf burn.
I got an email from one of our customers that I have yet to respond to. That she has an
Responding now.
She has an Akuba that's obviously it's a big one. It's been in her house for several years, and she says, "What am I doing wrong?" Well, it's burned on the top, and I don't know whether a tree has come down and created a more sunny situation, but that coupled with the intense heat we've had, it's just got blackened foliage on the top, and there's nothing wrong with the plant. It will recover. She may just want to cut that stuff off and let it flush back out, or likely will need to consider relocating it. But I will be answering her back so that she will
again.
Well, I haven't answered her yet. She might not be watching, Josh. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible she might.
Somebody needs to let her know to watch the show.
Yeah, well, I will probably do that. Say, hey, we talked about your Akuba on the program.
So your answer is there.
Yes.
And if you're at YouTube, like it. If you're on the Facebook page, like it. Ring the bells. Do all the things. Subscribe. Do all that stuff.
What's funny about that, Dave, is I had a customer come in yesterday and showed me a picture of her Akuba, and it's been there for years. She told me it's in a good spot. It really is. It's where it should be. She's never had this issue before, but she showed me yesterday a picture, and just black. Yeah, that's a sign of too much sun, y'all. Just so you know, for Akuba, the top leaves go black, like straight up black.
Yep.
And I had to just tell her, it's in a fine spot. It's just this year specifically, we got hot and sunny and dry so quickly that plants are just stressed from it. So,
and a lot of those leaves that had come out on this year's growth had not fully hardened off, and so they're much more susceptible to sun scald than they would be otherwise. So, just prune them off. Don't worry about it. And if again, like you just told her yesterday, that if you'll just leave it. If it's been fine where it is, just hang with it.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
it will. Yep.
What else we got?
Okay, here we go. How often should you water grasses, specifically zebra and muley? How do you know if it's too much or not enough?
Well, all the equine grasses, the zebra and the muley grasses.
It took me a second on that one.
Okay. Well, to answer your question, how to know when it's too much or too little? That's literally the biggest horticulture question there is, and it's one of the hardest to figure out. It really is. We deal with it every single day. Okay, how much to tell you? So the key is that at first, when you first plant them, is the most crucial by far when it comes to watering. You've got to make sure that the root zone is moist, and it stays moist until those roots latch in. You can kind of tell when a grass latches in. It's easy to tell, actually, with a grass because they've got really hefty roots. They really sink in, and they get in there, and they really root deeply and strong. You can pull on the crown of the plant, and if it's still wiggly, then you know it hasn't really quite gotten there yet, so you still need to probably keep it moist. If you pull on it and it doesn't budge at all, which happens with grasses, then you know they've really latched in and they're starting to seek their own water. So you don't have to water as much. Now you still have to watch the weather, and when we're in periods of drought and heat, a little drink with the grass is certainly not going to hurt them. They're fairly water-loving plants. Now I will say zebra grass is really easy. Literally, you can water it almost as much as you want, and then once it's latched in, almost as little as you want, and it's going to live. Muley grass is a little bit specific to where it really, really prefers well-drained soil. It does not want to be wet all the time. We have problems with muley grass returning as a perennial grass because of our wet winters and our heavy clay soil. It doesn't like that all that much. So if you're ever going to amend your soil, which is recommended, you want to do that with a light mix, say just pine fines or our landscape mix that has a lot of pine fines in it. To really create extra good drainage, because you're going to need that over the wintertime for muley for it to return really well. Muley can return really well here, but it has a problem doing it if you don't do the first steps of getting it in. So
Describe that a little bit more than muley.
muley grass is a small growing grass that's a clumper. It's a round grower.
You need to plant about 30 of them.
Exactly.
Right.
They look great in mass. They do not look great as just one. They're a fairly floppy grass. So like David just said, you plant them close together, they tend to hold themselves up a little bit better, so they look way better. If you've got like a hillside, if you will, or an area that's on a slope that you're just really trying to fill up and want to create color, the thing we all love about muley grass is that in the late summer into fall, they start to plume. And these are their seed heads, and their seed heads, for the most part, are pink. And they are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. They just look like pink puffs of smoke atop of all of this green foliage. So really excellent grass for a massing scenario, but they can be a little picky, so we need to make sure we prep our soil before we get those planted. But
Hey, speaking of soil preparation, Austin, let's talk for a moment about Earth Mix Garden Products.
Okay.
And if you're going to have success, both in providing sufficient drainage for plants like the muley grass that Austin was just talking about, and additionally holding a sufficient amount of moisture for the roots to get established for things in the drought, it may seem contradictory that you can do both those things by using the same approach. However, amending your soil properly with Earth Mix Landscape is one of the really good ways to add enough organic material to your soil, and yet enough particulate matter to help increase porosity so that it doesn't stand in water. It'll hold the water that it needs, and it will allow the rest to be released. So we like to say success in gardening begins at the ground level with Earth Mix Garden Products, and we believe that to be true. I
know it's true.
The folks who use the product I was speaking with Lester Martin's greenhouse in Murfreesboro this past week, and he talked about the amount of enthusiasm that the customers out there in the Rutherford County area have for Earth Mix products, and it simply provides results. And no matter which product you're using, whether you're using landscape for planting and soil amending, or you need to replant things, for indoor plants, Proganics I, the professional organic indoor mix, by the way, has no peat at all, not only in that product, nor in any of the others. So you don't get those pesty greenhouse. Those greenhouse gnats, those greenhouse gnats. You don't get those because it has coconut coir in there, not peat. So if you want to eliminate that problem, those fungus gnats, get rid of them by using Proganics I when you do transplanting of your indoor plants. And of course, if you're looking just to plant, the flagship product, Earth Mix Garden, which is the most widely used product in the Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, Ohio area, check that out. Also, remember, again, success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. For a complete list or a location near you, go to earthmix.net and click on the Find Earth Mix tab, and a map will come up there and it'll show you a complete list of all the locations, or simply put your address in for turn-by-turn directions to the location nearest you.
And
Earth Mix.
Yes. Don't forget to talk about that relief, David. Oh my gosh! I used it for the first time this week. That stuff is amazing,
and it's our newest addition to the Earth Mix lineup, and it is 100% pure leaf compost.
Beautiful, black, smells good. It's awesome.
It is an awesome product. So, but we need to cut away to the opposite of the steel before the humor goes away, because I want to know what they're laughing at.
Oh, I don't know.
Austin's skinny leg.
It looks so funny.
Chicken bones.
Kitty leg.
It'll be back soon. Don't you worry.
Don't overdo it. They
Well,
wanna
you know
take a
what?
step
You know
back.
what makes it look more obvious? That he's had this leg brace on there that has kept the sun off of it. So not only is it skinny,
It's highlighted.
It's
Blinding
really,
white.
really white. Yes.
Glowing.
Yeah.
Well, with his
Glowing.
sock tan, it's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of a. I said it's a Neapolitan look. 3 segments.
Good one, Tyler.
We're gonna have to see it on the show here now. So I mean, at some point.
I don't want to show it.
I don't want to set up a leg cam, but Austin, if you can hike it up there,
No.
Yeah, you can pull it up right
My
here.
knee-
Touch
you
my hand
you didn't
with
break
your
your
foot.
hip, right? You just broke.
No, my flexibility is horrible. That was even horrible before I had an injury. So I don't know if we're gonna get a knee cam. today.
We won't put you in that position, or
Unfortunately.
or ask you to put yourself in that position. So, what we
That
got
would
next,
hurt.
Caroline?
Okay. Suggestions for dog-safe container plants. I don't know if you're talking about indoor or outdoor, but 4 that I would suggest that you could put in mixed planters outside or keep them as houseplants would be calathea, which I have some in my gorgeous, amazing mixed planters that I made on my front porch. Austin and I need to have our photos up soon so you can decide whose is better. So calathea is a great pet-safe option. Spider plant, if you've seen it before, it's like the green and white with the little arms that come off. Ferns, most ferns are pet safe. It'll give a nice drape, especially if you have low light. And then palms. You always want to research, though, pet safe plants before you bring them into your home. Most palms are pet friendly. There is one to stay away from, which is the sago palm, which is
Ooh.
one of the more toxic plants that we do sell here at the nursery and at a lot of nurseries as house plants or as an annual to go outside in the summer. And that one is highly toxic. If your pet gets a hold of it, it could actually kill them. Most plants, it'll just upset them a little bit. They'll be fine, but that one is very toxic. So those are 4 good options for indoor plants, or if you want to put them outside in a container. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit bigger, hibiscus is a great option. It's beautiful. I know last week, maybe the week before, Austin had a photo of his mom's hibiscus by her amazing, beautiful pool. That is pet safe. And then I know camellia is pet safe as well. So if you're looking for some kind of evergreen to keep in a container, I don't know how well they do in containers. Austin might know,
do
but
fine.
that is a pet safe plant.
Yeah, they do fine. I guess there's a couple that you need to avoid on the outside. Yews specifically, like YEW, the genus is Taxus, and they produce a chemical I believe called Taxol, and it is not pet friendly. Not
It's
at
not
all.
human friendly either.
No,
No.
none of that.
Well,
So-
and that has been used in cancer treatment
Yes.
in years gone by. Don't know if it still is or not, but
yeah.
But
that's,
there are great many plants. Hemlock is another one. Yeah, there's a whole. I mean, you could do a whole program on plants that have poisonous characteristics.
Yes.
If you don't know, just don't chew on it. And
Yeah.
you know, if your animals are bad about chewing on plants, I would try to
Squirt
discourage
gun.
them.
Yes.
Well,
Smack them in the head.
You know, don't do that.
Yeah.
Pooch.
I'm an animal lover. Spider plant, I read this week, is one of the best indoor air cleaners that there is as
Yes,
well.
it is. That and Sansevieria are like the top 2, at least easy to get a hold of popular house plants. So
I've read about spider plant where astronauts take it into space with them.
Cool.
Help kind of keep that air clean. So
I think
that's
it's to
pretty
keep
cool.
them from going crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
something to do. Uh-huh.
Spiders be floating around in the zero G. That would
Yeah.
be neat.
I guess one other one while we're on it is if you want a tropical look, don't go after oleander.
No,
that's an
do not.
extremely poisonous plant.
Yeah.
Number 7, I think, on Earth, most poisonous. So you want to steer clear of oleander too. But there's certainly a whole number of options though that are not poisonous to dogs at all, and we can help you find them.
yes,
And
we
also, too,
can.
while I'm here, anything can grow in a pot, y'all. We need to clear that up. Everything we sell at the nursery is grown in a pot, and some have been grown in a pot for years and years. It just takes effort, and it takes, you looking at it and working at it and fertilizing every year and doing those things. Everything that a plant needs in a pot is not coming from the earth. It's coming from you. So you got to make sure you kind of keep renewing those things year after year, and you'll get better at growing plants in containers if you do it, for years. I've had Caroline mentioned Sansevieria. I've had a Sansevieria in the same pot for literally over a decade. So it can be done. It just takes effort. But anything
and
can
your
be grown in a
Sansevieria
pot.
is blooming now,
Mine's it's been blooming a lot.
probably because it's a little bit stressed.
And
'cause
they're
it needs
not
to be
typically
repotted.
known.
It ain't stressed. It is, David, I don't know. We need to talk about this. What do you think about this? Whenever always heard when a plant is stressed or it's about to die,
I'm
that it
not
will
saying it's
throw
about
some
to die.
blooms. and then that's its like last hurrah. I'm on the fence about this a little bit. I don't know.
I'm not saying it's about to die, but with that one specifically, that's what I think. But
No.
not with all plants.
I put it out on the front porch whenever it was time, and the temperature was raised enough, and the light was at it was given more light, and then it decided to bloom. My theory is that a plant that's not healthy enough won't bloom because it doesn't have the energy to do it. But I don't know.
It
This
could
is a
also
big-
be saying, help me. I don't know.
It's a big debate.
Help me.
But it's not like after it flowers, the leaves just die and then it's
No,
death.
it
Just a
doesn't.
reminder to everyone: if you have a question
Yes.
and you need to have it bantered about here in the studio, you can reach out to us on any of our Facebook or Instagram pages, both the At Home Show and Bates Nursery. Check those out, and you can ask a question like the next one coming up
Yes.
from Caroline.
All right.
Let's get it.
Here we go. Looking for native shrubs or small trees. My backyard is full sun.
Well, Lord, we have got
So many.
plants for you.
Yes.
Small trees and shrubs and even natives. We've got a good selection of natives right now. And we've mentioned this before, but our excellent horticulturist here that works with us, Joey Bovin, is extremely well versed on all things native, whether it be shrubs or small trees or whatever you're looking for. And if you need native selections, come out here and ask for Joy specifically because she can really help you out, get you some stuff that you want out there. And I can't even cover how many options we have for that. Literally so many.
But
So
she can.
She
Yep.
You
can.
can.
Bottle
yeah.
brush Buckeye.
Hey, good job, Tyler.
Summer Sweet, right?
Clethra, it's
Yep.
blooming right now. We got some really
Father
pretty
Gila.
ones.
Father
Father
who?
Gila is amazing.
Wow.
It's
We're out of Mother Gilla right now, but we do have Father Gilla.
That's right.
I don't know where mommy went. Then we
lady's
have
That is
Not out,
F.
yeah.
That is
Itea?
Fother, not FAT.
Fulther Gila.
Uh-huh.
Itea,
Uh-huh.
which is really great.
Not to be confused with IKEA.
Because
That's the furniture
you get
place.
all
it's
the
not
parts of the
Scandinavian.
IKEA.
It's definitely
yes.
native.
Okay.
Fall color.
I'm just ripping these out, but yeah, we got a lot. Oh, button bush too.
Oh, yeah.
Check that one out.
It's blooming
There's
right
a
now.
lot.
Press-
Kind of finished.
don't
blooming.
forget to press the button bush.
That's right. Speaking of press the button, that's what I'm doing over here. And Austin, I have to show you this.
Show me.
Oh,
Peach tree, I'm guessing.
That's my peach tree.
T-Y.
Uh-oh.
That's one of my bigger branches. Up top is a bunch of ripened, beautiful peaches,
Too
Oh,
heavy.
wow.
and the bushel got too heavy for the main branch.
you know what? This is a crazy way to deal with this. However, if you wanted to save it, get you a bunch of the big, like 4-inch
Zip.
pipe clamps, and just put them all on there, and just gradually go up and tighten them, and draw it together. And it might even completely heal back. Now they're going to look ugly. It's going to look like you put pipe clamps on there. You could wrap it with maybe burlap to camouflage it a little bit.
Okay.
but
Like a big band-aid.
And a little chalk out
you
at
know,
the end. I would think.
I mean, but you could. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in any horticultural book that will give you that kind of information.
I believe I can see through it.
Uh,
Ugh.
Can you see that?
yeah, it looks like you can see leaves on the other side. So,
There it is.
oh yeah,
It's
Oh.
the hardest thing on earth for a peach grower to do, but it's almost necessary, and that's to thin those fruit a little bit.
Yeah.
I know it's so hard when you have
You know-
all these peaches. You don't want to pluck any of them off.
know-
Who wants to do that?
you know the rule of thumb is when you're extend your pinky and thumb, and that space is what you should be spacing it.
So
And
it's
when-
the rule of pinky and thumb.
not just the rule of thumb.
Right.
It's the rule
My
of pinky
hands are
thumb.
bigger than yours. Though.
Well, then you get more spacing, therefore less
Less fruit.
Yeah,
But
Well,
bigger
that's not-
peaches, right?
That's not.
You get a little
if
kid.
if you are, Shaquille O'Neal, you're not gonna really get any fruit because his is probably that far.
He might have a big tree.
Well, he might have a big tree.
Now, would you want to chalk that on the outside? I could see that you could go in there and point off a 2x4 and put a little notch in it. And maybe
I
give it a
actually
little
do
support.
have a 2x4 under
Okay.
another branch on the tree. I just didn't
So
brace
in-
that. But this one is a little bit of a torque kind of thing.
That's what I was going to
That's
say.
twisted,
That got
yeah.
twisted.
It's
But-
twisted.
My little technique would get you through this season if you're really wanting to save those peaches. Now you're going to probably spend about $30 on
4 pipe clamps.
the stainless steel pipe clamps.
Those are
But
some expensive peaches, man.
oh man.
But
well, I
they're
will
tasty.
say though, the rest of your tree
Lots of
looks
zip
pretty well
ties
loaded.
might
Yeah.
work too.
It is. It is
Probably
evenly
the better way to deal with
loaded.
it is the more conventional way is either prop it up and see if you can get them to harvest, or simply just take a chainsaw and take that one away.
Well, there's already a lot of ripened peaches on
Well,
there.
you don't have much further to go, so you may be able to prop it up for another few weeks until you get
Yep.
all that taken care of.
Yeah.
Speaking of ripe fruit, boy, it is fig time of year at my house.
Oh.
Well,
But you
well,
know,
well.
I have to pick them just as they begin to change color. They're not really ripe, so it's but otherwise I don't get them because the squirrels and the birds get them all. I have to pick them like several days ahead of what they would be
to
ripe.
bring any to the studio.
Didn't, because they were all
I don't
green.
see any here, Josh. That's strange.
I don't either.
I only ate my very first one last night.
Oh,
So now maybe next week. Maybe next week.
big bucket.
I anticipated that question coming. So
Uh-huh.
anyway, back to you,
All right,
Caroline.
let's get some more questions in. My climbing hydrangea, just planted last year, looks like it's dying. Too much shade?
Too much shade. Probably not too much shade. It's something else. Now, climbing hydrangea does sometimes have some issues. Sometimes they can just take off and run up a tree and live for a long time and be fine. But there's a lot of like leaf spot issues on hydrangeas, or climbing hydrangeas specifically. So I'm not sure what's going on. I'd like to see some pictures to see if there is spotting or if there's wilting or what's happening. But obviously something probably down below in the soil level is not where you want it if climbing hydrangea is not doing well. So like I said, I'm sorry. I need to get some more info on this to kind of help you out a little bit more. But like I said, probably something down below.
Too much mulch, maybe?
Maybe piled
Yeah.
up around the stem.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an insect pest going
Yeah.
on. But it could be a number of things. So try to send us some pictures, maybe.
Info@batesnursery.com.
You can also always include a photo when you ask your questions on Instagram or Facebook. You can DM us a photo, which we can throw up
Or
on the big screen.
just bring them along on your
DMUS.
Yes.
on your phone or your tablet, and we'll look at them while we're here, and perhaps. So any way you want to do it works for us.
Yep.
That's right. My camera's still on.
That's okay. We can stare at
bye.
you.
Tyler
All
can.
right.
Show
Okay,
runner.
this is a great question because I feel like I'm having a similar issue this year. And I thought maybe it's all in my head because I'm just so excited about them. But why are my tomatoes staying green? Why, for all that is holy, why?
Great question. And the simple answer is y'all need to be patient.
Is that it? I don't
Patience
know.
is a virtue in plants, guys. It takes time, and they seem like they're green forever. That's because we're looking at them every day. You know, if you go on vacation for a week, you'd come back and there'd be like 8 red ones probably.
No, I did go on vacation for almost a week and I came
but you
back and
did
they
that,
were
like,
still green.
2 weeks ago. Tomatoes weren't ready yet. So we've got, some people are certainly harvesting tomatoes now. I've got a buddy that he planted them probably 2 or 3 weeks before me, and he's starting to get some red tomatoes going on now. Mine at the house are, actually, my wife Jilly just picked 2 of our first ripe tomatoes last night, and they were the lowest tomatoes on the vine. They've
Yeah.
been green for a while, and then seemed like overnight they started turning yellow, then they started turning red, and they're sitting on the counter right now.
And that's not true just with tomatoes. It's all kinds of things. You know, I just mentioned the figs.
Yes.
A month ago, I had all these figs, and I thought, well, they're going to be
They're gonna be
getting
ready?
ready here soon.
Yep.
No, it takes them quite a long time. You just kind of got to, dial your attention back a little bit and don't, micromanage them quite so much. It's hard to do.
It's very hard.
It is
to do.
hard.
You look at them every day and you just see green. I get it, but they are coming. Caroline,
I'm mad
be
at 'em.
patient.
Are you familiar with
Josh
home-
as well. That was Josh's question.
Yes,
So
it
we're
was.
in the same boat.
Well,
Just
it-
want our red tomatoes.
Now, are you familiar with one called Belgium Pink?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes, I've never grown it.
Okay.
Belgian pink sounds like an old heirloom.
It appears to be. It was a gift from my future father-in-law guy. Across the way, Jimmy Blanks. But
Future father-in-law,
Are you?
oh, we'll talk about that. That's a personal thing. But yes, my daughter's getting married. Hi, yeah,
Congrats.
she got a bobble.
So
But
it's his dad. is what
Yeah,
you're
his
saying.
dad grew them from seed, and they're doing spectacular. But they're turning a little bit white. It's an heirloom. You can obviously tell by the shape.
White.
I mean, just they're
It's a very,
paling.
very pale green.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I still think they'll finish. And the pink ones, they're softer. They're not going to that true red, obviously. They're going to be pink. So
Okay.
the white might be kind of that, that stage before yellow and then pink, maybe. So I think you're on your way, Josh. But you just got it. Wait a minute. I got some Brandywine pinks in the yard right now, and they're getting up about 5 feet tall. This is the Brandywines are big potato leaf tomatoes. I love growing them. They get huge. Every year's different with them. They're heirlooms certainly, and some years are great. Some years not so much. They can have a lot more issues than some of your hybrids, but they're producing very well this year, loaded with green fruit.
And that's largely due to the lack of daily rains. I mean, there has been a big benefit to them as far as the growing part goes to not have so much constant moisture on the foliage. I mean, humidity is one thing, but if you're getting rainfall 2 or 3 times a week, it can really be damaging a lot of pests and diseases that we have avoided to this point simply because we haven't had so much rain.
Yeah, we kind of missed out the fungus stage of our springs that we typically have here. Our late springs are typically wet, and that's when fungus comes out wet and warm. And we kind of missed that. We went straight to hot, and fungus doesn't really like just super hot. So tomatoes have been clean this year. I mean, I've had the least amount of tomato questions I think I've ever had while working here. This is the time of year for tomato problems. Everybody's got them. Everybody's getting some lower leaves that are getting yellows, got some black spot happening, and every year never fails. I have to answer
on the end.
Yep, all of that. This year has been the cleanest tomato year we've ever had. So there you go. We got hot quick, but we kind of missed the fungus. So good work on tomatoes. But just wait, just chill. They'll turn red, I promise.
Hey, let's shift gears for just a moment.
Okay.
Talk about where we are and why we're here, and that's Bates Nursery and Garden Center. You know, we are here in the green room. I've heard it said that we have the finest TV studio in the nursery industry. We may be the only ones that, but that's just one of the things we do here at Bates Nursery. We try to keep you informed, and we try to do that in a variety of ways.
Everybody else is jealous.
Tyler, Cary, and Austin are 3 of the big contributors to the content that goes out there on our Bates Nursery website page and our connected YouTube page. So you want to make sure and check that out for all manner of, catch up on your tomatoes is one of them that Austin recently had, and Caroline recently had one on the climber and trailing plants. What was that one named, Caroline? I can't remember.
Meet me in my trailer.
Meet me in my trailer. Some catchy names here for things. But what you're going to find here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, in addition to a selection of plant material, second to none. We have, we've got a representation here, behind us, across the way in the studio, and all over our sales yard here. We have a tremendous selection of plants. And if you're a Bates Rewards member, you get an extra added value this week. All Monrovia plants through July 14th, Josh, are 14% off.
A 7th off?
And in addition to that, you also can get Earth Mix Supernatural at 14% off. So there you go. And hand signals from Tyler. He will help. He will help you. At least he'll make you think something's going on, whether it is or not. So come out and see us at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. We're here to not just try to help you pick out plants. We're here to give you information to help make your choices.
Entertain.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but we'll also hope to help you to get the right plant in the right place the first time, and that's the way we do it at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. We have a selection, like I said, second to none. We're conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike, which is just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, downtown Nashville West, and beyond there. I promise you it is worth the drive no matter where you're coming from. If you're not a Bates Rewards member and you want to take advantage of these 14% off all Monrovia plants deal, all you got to do is sign up. We don't share your information. It takes about 30 seconds. I do a weekly newsletter, and if you get to the point where you don't want it anymore, you can just unsubscribe.
It's once a week, man.
It's once a week, and sometimes there's helpful information in there.
Absolutely.
David, how much does it cost to be a Bates Rewards member?
It does not cost anything. It does not cost. It's a free thing, and right now we've got some good deals, so it actually pays. So come out and see us, Bates Nursery Garden Center, where we're celebrating our emerald anniversary, our 90th year of business. We appreciate the support of everyone in the Middle Tennessee area to keep this little train that could rolling on, Bates Nursery and Garden Center. So thanks.
Very good.
All right, we have some interaction online. We got a live Instagram question from Jay Borks. Good morning. What's the best preventative for mealybugs? Seeing more of those this year. I assume that's what they are. White, fluffy clusters developing on plant stems. Let's go to Caroline.
Mealybugs. I feel like I'm battling those more this year than I have in the past. They are evil little creatures. I usually try to treat them with neem oil or rubbing alcohol, just kind of spot treat them at first if it hasn't gotten into like a really bad infestation. I'll take a Q-tip with rubbing alcohol on it and just kill that little bug, just wipe it right off. I actually had a conversation with my mom the other day about mealybugs because she has them, and I told her how to take care of them.
Happens in the best of homes.
It does. And she was so sad she didn't want to kill him, but you have to. She said, that sounds so mean.
They're doing so well.
I hate to kill them. Yeah, they're thriving on my plant right now. But it will get bad if you let it get out of hand, and eventually it will kill your plant. They like to hide in crevices. So if it's like a palm or something that kind of unfurls, check down towards the base of the plant. You might have them in there. You can spray neem oil, insecticidal soap. You can also make your own mixture at home with Dawn dish soap. There's a lot of different methods. And then if it continues and it, just won't go away, I sometimes will just chop my plants. I'll take all the leaves off and that will take care of it. Or you can go with a systemic treatment or something that's a little more powerful and not as much fun to use. That's slightly toxic. So basically you can make your plant toxic, and those pests that are feeding on your plant will ingest that poison and it will kill them. And it will take a little while longer, but it should take care of that problem.
Hey, but speaking of, I've been telling Caroline she needs to do a video on this. She came up with a really good idea. We've got this little metal pressure washer, if you will. It's not a pressure washer. It hooks to your hose, but it's got this little valve on it that you open up, and it's got a really tiny hole, so it's got a very high pressure stream of water. And she's been using that to get in those crevices of, say, cacti or sansevieria, or things that have a harder leaf to them that you're not going to just shred or anything. So if you have plants like that, buying something like that to get a hard stream of water to just blast those bugs off is a great method to use. I saw her doing that the other day. I was like, man, people need to know about this because it's a really good method.
It's fun.
And don't forget to take it out of the living room before you
Yes, take it outside.
Yes.
It's a little messy.
It's very messy, but it's very effective, and it's a good little tool. So maybe that'll help you out without having to use any chemicals at all, just water.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a under $20 little Amazon find. Never know what you'll get out there.
You don't, but there are a lot of methods, but I usually try to start with like the non-toxic methods, try to treat it first, spot treat it, and then grow up from there as your problem persists. So, yeah.
Well, your
good
dad
question.
and mom are watching the show this morning.
Oh,
as
good
well.
morning, Mom and Dad.
And they've been picking and eating figs on a regular basis so far this season, and they're having great luck with their fig bush.
Yeah, I think we planted that fig tree for my mom about 4 years ago or so.
That's back when you were in high school, right?
Back when I was in middle school. Yes, exactly.
They're inside, and they're going to have a good day. They're enjoying the show. So,
Well, good. Good morning.
good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Gant.
All right.
Is it time for a little Austin segment?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, well, we got to find out.
What's in bloom?
With Austin.
All right, so more of the same from last week when it comes to trees. We're going to go through those quick. We got crepe myrtles showing off. Y'all see them all around town. Rosa Sharon hibiscus, it is blooming, and they bloom a new bloom every single day and drop the old ones at night. So very cool. My perennial hibiscus showing off.
Mine too.
Yep, everybody's around town looking really good. We got a great selection at the nursery right now, guys, if you're needing one. They're looking really nice. All sorts of hydrangeas still in full show. The panicles are starting to show up, so all your limelights and little limes and bobos and all those good ones that are up on a kind of cone shape, and those are starting to show. So those are pretty well full bloom at the moment. One we have out here in front of me, some butterfly bush, certainly still blooming. They're even getting to where they need to be deadheaded a little bit, so they're kind of getting out of bloom, but still showing off. But let's talk about annuals. Sun annuals are really showing right now. Caroline told me this morning her sun patience are just kicking it. And if you've never grown sun patience, people, y'all need to. I am serious. Impatiens are
And
a
people,
classic.
you know who you are.
Yes,
you do.
the Impatiens classic shade plant. I mean, they need deep shade.
Hurry up with the
patients-
impatience.
Yeah, that's right. Sun pations do not need shade, and they will literally be like shrubs by the end of the season. Like I said, if you have not grown sun pations, please do, because they are certainly worth growing. They get very, very large. They look great. Lantana that we've got out in front of us right now, full show. We've still got a bunch of those on deck out here. If your pots are getting tired, some plants aren't doing so well, want to fill in, got a party coming up, whatever it may be.
And by the way, those are marked. Those are in our system at 50% off,
Yes,
and you
they
get
are.
because they're Monrovia, you get an extra 15% off of
14.
that.
14.
What did I say? 15.
Yeah.
It's your fault, David.
It's me. It is because I'm the one that came up with that. So yes, 14%. So it's like, as someone mentioned yesterday,
They're
that's
gorgeous, too.
like 64%.
Now you're
Not exactly.
Not exactly, really, but it's 64.
As the crow
something.
flies.
Close enough.
that's right. You're almost stealing them from us, pretty much. That
As
means-
the crow buys.
Yeah, they're so perfect, and you're getting a great deal. So awesome plants to grow.
So we totally broke your train of thought. So
Yeah,
go
we
ahead.
have.
But then here we go. Vinca, still showing off. Loves the sun, loves the heat. Zinnias, Caroline told me this morning, helped me out with what's in bloom. Her zinnias are going nuts, which she
love
loves
them.
zinnias.
You
not
hate them.
I'm
I
not
love
into
them.
zinnias. I don't like them. And
You
to
haven't found
wrap
the
it
right
all,
zinnia.
actually, no. Sunflowers started showing up. If you
Yes,
started them
they
from
have.
seed, they're starting to bloom out. So always nice to see the sunflowers following the sun. And then to finish up, corn is tasseling, y'all.
Yeah, buddy.
It is tasseling. It's
Even if
earing
it's
out.
short.
Even if it's short. I got short corn. It's kind of funny. My
And a
corn, it
chicken
gets the
leg.
sun. The one at the end of the row gets the sun earlier, and as the day draws on, it works down the line. And they're smaller at this end, working bigger to this end, but they are all in bloom. They're dropping all that pollen onto the ears, and pretty much all of them have doubled up ears, and they got silks going on.
Ooh.
And won't be long. We're gonna be eating corn, people.
Get
I
it.
hate it when I get pollen on my ears. you gotta wipe it
Do you
off
shake
quick.
them at all?
No, I don't. I typically let the wind do it. It's plenty windy out there. I don't need to get out and shake the corn.
Okay.
How much of it is wind and how much of it is bees, do you think?
It's mostly all wind, actually, when it comes to corn. Bees aren't all that
'Cause-
important for corn.
Yeah, because corn typically is suggested to be planted in more or less a square or something where that you have, a lot of access. No matter which way the wind's blowing, you're likely to get cross pollination due to that effect. So
Stop.
planting 100-yard long line may not get you much corn. If you
Especially
have
after a windy night with a storm. I mean,
It could. Well, you might only have. The good thing about the short corn, as we mentioned before we
Yes.
came on the air, is
It's low
that
to the ground. It
yours
holds on.
yours has not blown over with the heavy rain, so that's good.
Yeah,
you,
it's a great thing.
you may have the best crop you've ever had.
We'll see.
Maybe you're onto
Wow.
something.
I can't wait to see. We'll see.
I think
God,
we need to
love
go
corn.
around the studio and look at all these beautiful Monrovia plants.
Well, I
by
think
the
it's a
way.
good idea. At 14% off.
Yes.
Who can resist?
That's right. Over here with us, we got some Coreopsis that's showing. Good
Ye
Lord, if
pretty.
y'all need some yellow. Yellow shows up more than anything in the garden. It draws your eye to it. So Coreopsis is awesome to grow. Never have a problem with it coming back. It's pretty pest resistant. It's a good little perennial to throw in there for color. Obviously, the lantana
Lantanas.
is beautiful. The butterfly bush we got out in front. Caroline over there brought in some artemisia, which is the silver out in front of the guys over there. Silver's awesome.
Hold on.
To the other side.
Tyler, I'm here. Come on.
Trying to
He's
keep
only
up,
running
brother.
the joystick. Come on.
There it
There it is.
is.
There's
There
that
we go.
silver.
Yeah.
She paired the
Wormwood.
silver with some chartreuse colors of the heuchera, which is nice and lovely. If throwing some purple off in that would have been pretty too.
Oh, so I didn't do good enough,
No,
but
you
I
did
did
great.
try.
I like purple with silver. I don't know why. And then out behind the guys, we've got some juniper in the corners,
Got
and
some
then
switchgrass right here.
switchgrass, one of my
Shenandoah.
faves.
That
Shenandoah, yeah.
beautiful hydrangea. Is that a stargazer?
No, that's a Monrovia. I can't remember the exact variety. It's beautiful though. You can look at the tag if you can. It's
Yeah,
it is gorgeous.
show prep.
Get it,
Oh, there
Tyler.
it is.
Doing
It's
great.
coming around.
What's this one
One more
called,
flip.
Tyler?
Newport Seaside Serenade.
There you go.
There you go. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the newer varieties, but
Gorgeous.
really bushy, gorgeous grower. Yeah. So a lot of pretty stuff in the building now.
Really
what
nice
about the
in here.
lacy one? The lacy.
Those are
one.
elderberries, actually. There's
Are they
one that's
really?
that's a dark leaf that goes very vertical in habit, and then there's the chartreuse sprawly fella that's more wide, just kind of large growing elderberry. Both ornamental, not necessarily grown for their fruit value, but
That'd be lemony lace over there.
lemony lace, good. It's even pretty good for a little bit of a shady area if you've got it. I still prefer some good sun, but it can handle partial shade too. So.
Got Hollywood junipers up in the corners, so they're always a really nice statement plant. And we talked earlier about for screening purposes, they can also make a nice vertical screen.
All right,
in
let's
full sun.
Try to get 2 more questions in before the end of the show.
We can do, surely.
I think we can.
Two
We actually have
in
4, but
5.
let's try for 4. What flowers can I plant now that will last through the fall?
Well, how about come out and get some lantana?
There you go.
'Cause you're pretty
I
much
just
stealing
planted
it from
some.
Yep.
Yeah, it's lantana will certainly finish all the way up until frost. Just an excellent plant for the sun. Good in pots, good in the ground, whatever you want to do, and we've got them. The only problem with planting annuals right now is that you're probably not going to find a lot of annuals right now. I mean, we're the biggest in town, and we're even getting pretty low. So you can still plant them most definitely, but the availability is going to be less. So if you need some annuals to throw in, you better come out and see us because we're getting low as well.
Tyler seems fixated on himself today. I don't know what
Something's going
the deal
on over
is.
there on that side of the room.
He's got the Tyler cam going today, so
I thought that my other camera shot was part of the regular camera shot. So ignore that.
Getting wild. All right, we've got kind of what could be seen as a second part to that question. Any fruit, veggies, herbs that I can plant now?
You're kind of in a weird time. You're kind of in a dead time. Like I said, when it comes to the availability of plants, that's going to be your hardest issue of getting them, especially when it comes to veg. There's just not a lot of fruit available, nor so around town. Now, herbs is a different story. We can still plant herbs, and we've still got some. So especially, say, rosemary or lavender, we've got a very good selection of those right now. And we still have some basil looking good. You can plant basil. Do know it'll probably flower on you fairly quickly because it is so hot. But that's okay. Basil's really nice as an ornamental plant, too, just to see pretty blooms, but also harvest leaves. Whenever you do harvest basil leaves, a little pro tip, take them from the tips. Do not take just side leaves off. Take the growing tips out if you can use that as your food, and then it'll send out side shoots with more leaves, and then it'll produce flowers. So at least you'll get some more leaves before you just get blooms. So there you go. You can still plant, but like I said, just finding the stuff is going to be difficult.
Yep.
All right, we've got 2 more, and I feel like we can get to them.
Okay.
I need a small pine or yew shrub for in front of my porch. It can be 3 feet tall. Spread doesn't matter. East sun. That was a great question. They got in everything.
How about Mugo?
I was just thinking about that.
Mugo
Austin?
pine. Yeah, Mugo pine's fine. They get a little large. You don't think they
Takes
do.
a
but
while,
It takes a while, but
Yes.
they will get large. Spreading plum yew. One of my favorites,
I love
Cephalatax, is a really, really good plant to grow.
Probably the best choice for what was described
I
here.
think so,
They
yeah.
will stay. You will not have to fight it to stay within particularly the prostrate varieties of it. So Cephalataxis prostrata,
Prostate.
they will stay. No, not prostate, Josh. That's a different thing.
Oh.
We'll talk about that after the show. It's prostrate.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh.
You're getting into the age now. You'll learn about that.
We have 3
Other
minutes
one.
left in one question.
Okay.
Stay on topic.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, plum yew. Grow a plum yew.
Grow a plum yew. All
That's
right.
right.
And final question. What can I do about clay soil? What can I plant?
Mr. Bates, you got this one.
Well, first of all, you need to do extensive amendment. Now, if your clay soil is so dense and so, you might have to actually waste some of it away. But chances are it can just be amended. It also has a lot to do with what you're trying to plant. If you're planting azaleas, for instance, they cannot push into a hard compacted soil, and clay soils are the worst. So you probably need to just excavate a hole and completely plant them in a mix. Our landscape mix would be fine for such a thing as that. Other things are more forgiving, and you would not need to do wasting the soil off, but you could mix it, equal parts soil and landscape, and really improve the soil dramatically. So much of it has to do with being able and being willing to do the amount of soil preparation. It does take a little bit of work, but if you get it done on the front end, a lot of people will, and I've heard them say it for years, well, I'll get that later. You can't do it later.
No.
You can only do it when you're planting. So don't put that off. Put something back if you need to, but don't put off doing your soil preparation.
All righty. Well, any final words from around the room here?
We did it.
Okay, we did it. We have
fine.
done it. Okay. Well, we're getting close to the end, but yes, I just want to make an announcement that Liza's getting married.
Yay.
And Dave and Renee got married 37 years ago today.
No, they're not getting married today, but
We got married this
James
day.
Dean Blanks will be joining the family. So
James Dean Blanks.
James Dean Blanks.
Wow.
Yep.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
He is. He's a good guy.
That's a good name.
All right.
But
Well, congratulations to
Doctor,
everyone.
the
Congrats.
future Dr. Blanks.
Doctor, no, it'd be, I don't know.
Banks or Blanks?
Blanks.
Blanks, okay.
Blanks.
I always blank on that. Just a quick little poof.
Oh,
That happened to. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
you're now an we get the extended family from Tullahoma, so it's okay.
That is awesome.
We get to pick on Hooterville from now on, from the end of life. But hey, folks, for everybody here at the At Home Show, the entire At Home cast, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to
really
come back
do.
next Saturday morning. Hey, go out on social media, go to the Facebook page, like it, subscribe, share it, tell everybody about it. YouTube, you can find us out there as well. It's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates. You can throw it up on the living room TV when you do it and watch it that way.
Is there any
Come
other way?
on, you got to do it. Hey, thanks again. Come out. Hey, take advantage of the 14% off through the 14th on Monrovia plants, and you still got a 50-50 going on all the annuals as well. Is that right?
Whatever remains.
Whatever's left. So get your color and get it going. Hey, we'll see you next here from the Green Room Studios next Saturday morning.